Welcome to CEO Confidential from Frank Pagano and Pierangelo Soldavini.
And welcome also from me. We are talking today about new tech and especially artificial intelligence of the future.
And we have the pleasure, the honor to have with us an expert in the field. Welcome to the show, Rasmus. First question right away. Who are you? What do you do for a living?
Thanks for the invitation. Hey, yes, I'm Rasmus. I'm the co-founder of Merantix. We are a venture studio that builds AI companies. So we try to turn AI research into real products that can help humans all around the world. And that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years.
Yes, Rasmus, you were talking about artificial intelligence. Everybody's talking about it, AI. Can you explain to our audience, a non-tech audience, what is AI and how do you use it?
Yeah, sure. So artificial intelligence is around creating software that makes intelligent decisions. So similarly, how we humans, do try to make a lot of intelligent decisions every day. We're also trying to program machines in the same way so that they can help us and make our life better. And so, for example, we have one application where we've been working on, which is a company, Vara, which is helping radiologists, so in this context of healthcare, to make better decisions and make less mistakes when they look at radiological images. So we've basically built an artificial intelligence that looks at those images instead of a human and tries to really understand where a tumor could be, where a cancer could be, and then tries to detect that and thereby make the diagnostics better for humans. And this machine we have trained, or this algorithm we have trained on millions of images. So we have fed like millions of radiological images to it. And from that, the machine has automatically learned how to detect the cancer.
Yes, and you know that people is quite worried about AI and the future of this technology. Can you indicate the three most important concerns from the ethical point of view of AI from your point of view?
Yeah, sure. So I think it starts with the data. In the end, in order to make an artificial intelligence work, you need a lot of data from which the algorithms, the AI can learn from. And so a lot of that data has privacy concerns, right? Like, for example, it might be patient data, it might be data about how you surf and use the internet. And so I think there we just really need to make sure that data is properly anonymized and also used according to GDPR regulations, which is something we agreed on all over Europe, right? And so I think that's super important that we make sure that we only use the data we are allowed to use. And then I think the second one is around when we use AI, I think it makes usually in many applications much less mistakes than humans would do, but it can still make a mistake once in a while. And so then we need to make sure that it interacts in the right way with a human, for example, in our radiology example with a doctor, so that the AI and the doctor work together to make an even better decision for everyone. And so kind of figuring out how this interaction works is super important. And then I think the third one is around bias. So, like we as humans, every human has biases, and also every algorithm can have biases, especially if the data is not distributed in the right way. So, for example, if you think about AI and credit scoring, where an AI makes a credit decision, you want to make sure that you have equally many data points from maybe women and men, so you're not favoring one or the other. And so it's really important to make sure that you feed the right data to the AI so that you don't have wrong biases there.
Rasmus, a question still on technology. Besides artificial intelligence, what are the new technologies that will shape our future?
Yeah, so I think AI will obviously have an impact in many industries. So I think if you go through the applications, we could probably talk about it for hours. But beyond that, I think one space I'm personally very fascinated about is the whole area of biology. I mean, the biology of the human body, but also the biology out there in the world. And because I think we can learn a lot from biology. We can also use AI on biological data to create vaccines. So lots of pharmaceutical application, which is obviously also very important in the context of COVID at the moment, but also to create new materials. For example, if you think about tires, if you think about phone displays, if you think about cosmetics, these are all areas where you have also materials with very special properties. And there's a lot work right now happening in biology and better engineering, basically, biological ingredients like proteins to have these properties. And so I think this whole space is super exciting. And I think another space, but where I'm honestly also don't understand that much about it yet, but I'm trying to get more into it, is the whole space of quantum computing. I think that's something where right now it's still very much in the area of research, and we're making progress, but it's not, I would say, like widely applicable yet. But I think we will see very exciting applications in the next 5 or 10 years there, and that will affect many industries as well.
New technologies, Rasmus, can smash an industry, creating, for example, unemployment and disruption. Do you believe new technology has a net impact that is positive? And do you have concrete examples, for example, from your company or a company that you know?
Yeah, sure. So I think, again, and like, for example, cancer right now, 25% of the cancers are missed by doctors because it's just so hard to really make sure you see everything. And so that's a typical example where you give an AI to the doctor, you are together missing less cancers. And that's great. If you come there as a patient and you can have a decision between, hey, either I go just to the doctor and they miss every fourth cancer, or I go to a doctor plus an AI and they miss much, much less cancers, then I would probably go to the latter one, right? So I think there's a very immediate benefit for humans there. And I think with regards to the jobs, obviously jobs will change, but jobs have always changed, right? Like if you think about what were jobs we did like 150 years ago, they're very different than the jobs we would do now. And so I think similarly also AI, like any new technology, will basically make some jobs maybe disappear, not from one day to the next, but maybe over some decades. But at the same time, new jobs will emerge, right? And so I think we've always seen that with new technology, and I don't see why this should be different with AI. And like maybe one thing to add there, AI is also, especially narrow AI, the very specific applications we are building right now, they're very good at doing repetitive tasks better than humans. And repetitive tasks are super boring, right? If you do the same thing over and over again, it gets kind of annoying when you do that, especially for like decades. And so I think AI can help us, especially with those boring tasks, to kind of automate them, and so that we as a human can focus on the more interesting, more diverse tasks. So I think it will ultimately make our job life more interesting.
Yes, and Rasmus, coming to your experience, I understood that you are some way serial entrepreneur. How was your journey for creating a new company? And can you give us an idea of the good, the bad, and the ugly of being an entrepreneur today?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we started Merantix, our venture studio, so our incubator for AI companies 4.5 years ago. I was in machine learning research before, so I was basically writing academic papers around machine learning algorithms. And I guess there it was very obvious to me that there's, tremendous applications of machine learning in many industries, but at the same time that it's quite hard to bring something from research into the real world, into products that can help humans. And so that's why we decided to start Merantix, and to create this incubator for AI companies. So that was kind of where it came from. And I think like overall, I'm very much enjoying the entrepreneurial life. I mean, as the company grows and matures, your challenges always become new ones, and you're always trying to solve problems you have never solved before every single day. So that's super exciting. But at the same time, I mean, talking about the ugly, it's also a lot of work. I mean, it's not your 9 to 5 job. It's very, very hard to calm down also over the weekend, and constantly there's work, things you could do, and I mean there's a lot of uncertainty, right? Like there's always things you don't know about. Will this thing I'll try right now, will this go to market work? Will the technology work? So I think what I've learned a lot in the last couple of years, I guess, is like dealing with this uncertainty and also knowing, okay, I don't know if this is gonna work. I hope it will do, and I'll try my best to make it work, but like I can't predict the future, and so that's something I guess myself need to be able to deal with, and that's something I learned over the last couple of years.
Yes, we cannot predict the future, but we understand that today we need the leadership in this new world, especially after the pandemic emergency. What is leadership from your point of view, and who is the leader today and in the future?
Yeah, sure. So I think for us, it's a lot around enabling others to have a great impact. So in the end, when you're a single person running a business on your own and have no employees, then you do everything yourself. But once you have like 50 or 100 people, I mean, it's about enabling everybody in your company to be productive and working towards a common goal. And so I think a lot about how I can give also my employees more space to develop and also drive their own visions, because I think it's more my job is more to motivate the others and show them what the goal is, but then they should be independent and also work very independently. And at the same time, there's sometimes you need to be super hands-on. So it's always this trade-off between, for some things, being super hands-off and giving others the freedom to make decisions, and sometimes you really need to go into the details and make decisions. And I think that's a constant challenge, but also the fun around leadership.
Rasmus, more specifically on the role of the CEO, what are the 3 must-have features of the CEO of the future?
Yeah, I think like first thing is like drawing a vision, a joint goal everybody can work towards too, and that can be a bit crazy. That can be 10 years out. That can be something which is maybe not something you're going to reach in the next 3 months, but I think that kind of aligns our company. So, and also talking about the why, like why are we doing what we're doing? Why is it important that we build AI applications? I think the second thing is around like empathy, like really being like, I guess, emotionally close to your employees and really understanding what concerns them. How can you make the job environment better, more productive, and understanding that there's subtle like signals. And I think the third thing is, especially what we do is super important, is also to still have the technological depth. So there's a lot of things where things become very high level, strategic. It's around fundraising, it's about business development, it's around overall high level strategy, hiring. But like sometimes there is some really small technical details you really need to go into and understand and fix. And so I think that becomes more important in our very technologicalized world, that also CEOs of many other companies have to deal with so much more technology, that it's super important that they understand that to a certain extent. And so yeah, every CEO in the end should, I think, in like 10 years write at least some code, or have written some code in the past, so to at least understand what it's about, because software will affect every single company.
It's interesting. Yeah, totally new skill. Another question that sounds more like a Russian roulette. So you can change things with new technologies, sustainability, marketing, or mindset. You only have one bullet. Where would you begin? Where would you start?
I think it's a mindset. I think and that's especially something in Europe. I think especially in the US and in China, I think there's much more a positive connotation about using technology, and that it can actually do something good. And I agree that there's also some things going wrong there. So I'm not saying everything they do is right, but I think also in Europe we should talk less about regulation and all the bad things AI can do, but more be okay, how can we embrace AI and use it in a way that you can really have a good impact for us as humans and Europeans. And so that's something that's for me a mindset change, where we do not just need to get better in Europe, more this can-do attitude, basically.
Rasmus, the very last thing, from another point of view, of course, new technology is changing the world we live in very rapidly, and AI is a clear example of this. Business has to innovate and change very quickly. Which is the main obstacle to change, to innovation?
Yeah, I think it's just this entrepreneurial attitude, this can-do attitude. I think we also see that when we talk to companies in the Anglo-Saxon world, it's always okay, very positive, hands-on, let's try it out. And in Europe, we have more of this, people come with concerns, what all could go wrong. And yes, things could go wrong, but if you don't try, we will also never make it work. So let's just try it out. Let's make mistakes and then let's improve. And so I think that's something we need to get better in, especially in Europe.
Okay, thank you very much, Rasmus, for your for this voyage into the world of the future, into technology of the future. And from me and Frank Pagano, really thank you for your contribution to CEO Confidential. Thank you to all who has been with us today, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation. That was a lot of fun. Thanks.